In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about a sexy Viking, a boring boyfriend, and bad orgies in our discussion of Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book or watched season 2 of True Blood, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened or watched and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book or watch season 2 of True Blood, then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up. I
thought you were going to pass out at the end.
Yeah, I almost did. This is the last time that I can talk about True Blood because after this one, I mean, some of the stuff that happened in this one didn't happen in this season, but, you know, it was really close.
Very close.
Anyway. Hooray for Vampire Book Club. Everyone gets to watch this one, by the way, so we need to contain ourselves.
And you can get Vampire Book Club t-shirt.
Yes. Yes, you can.
This is first edition, but you can't tell because of it being printed on grey.
Yeah. You can't really tell
but
on
you
mine
too
either.
Can get a Vampire Book Club t-shirt.
You can, and you should. You should.
And other things. It comes on other things.
It comes on almost everything.
Yes. Anywho, plugging aside,
yes.
Do you have any background information for this other than season 2 of True Blood closely resembles this book?
Well, I don't have this book specific background info, but I did find something that made me laugh today from a Charlene Harris interview. It's from fantasymagazine.com. And she says in this interview, for some reason, and I can't quite understand why, readers are secretly fascinated with the physical output of vampires. They're always trying to think of a nice way of saying, do your vampires poop? Or, do your vampires ejaculate? And I'm just going, vampire bathroom habits are just not interesting to me.
I'm going to say no, they don't poop.
I don't think that they do either.
Because the blood is fully used, so there's no byproduct.
Right.
That's my reasoning.
Yeah, it's just absorbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they poop.
And if they can cry blood...
Which they do.
Then their ejaculate would be blood as well.
Great. That is sexy.
Awesome.
That's the sexiest thing I've ever heard of.
Well, Suki doesn't realise that she's taking in more vampire blood than she realises. That's my theory.
That's why she's so powerful with vampire blood, because it's all filled up in her coo.
Yes.
That's great. That's really, really great.
I do not really want to put vampire blood in coos at the top of, the This Week in Fictional Hangover we talk about.
So we've got to come up with something more interesting to talk about.
I really want to at the same time. I'm conflicted.
Let's just see what happens.
We might not have any conversation about vampire bodily fluids.
It might just happen right now and then we never talk about it again.
Yes. Except at book club.
And you know how we latch onto things.
Dang it.
This is what we...
I can feel the fangs sinking in.
Sinking into your coo. Okay. Stop it. Do you have initial thoughts? Other than...
Suki is mad.
Okay, good.
That's it.
Worthy. It's very good. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. I think that's perfect. It's a perfect start. All right. Sookie Stackhouse, telepathic barmaid at Merlotte's Bar in Bon Ton, Louisiana, is currently trying hard not to read the mind of Detective Andy Belfleur as he's getting soused. Sookie thinks it's odd for Andy to be getting so drunk. He normally doesn't drink so much, so her curiosity gets the better of her, and she reads his mind. She learns that Andy arrested a man earlier in the day for violating his young neighbor and isn't coping too well with it. Sookie calls Andy's sister, Portia, to come pick him up. They leave the bar with plans to return the next day at lunch to get Andy's car, but it'll be okay in the parking lot overnight. No, it won't. No, it won't!
Dang it! Vampire Bill comes to see Sookie at the bar around the same time. He's been away in Shreveport working his new vampire job, the investigator of Region 5, and needs Sookie to come with him the next night for help. Sookie has to change her shift around but agrees to go even though it means she's working late that night and early the next day. Everyone in town is a little more used to Vampire Bill now, thank goodness, and even Jason, Sookie's brother, is nice to him.
Wow, that's
Sookie
a shock. That's a shock from last book where Jason was an absolute dickbag to everyone all the time, constantly.
I mean, to be fair, Jason can revert to stereotype. That is going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll take nice Jason for now.
Yes.
Sookie and Bill leave Merlot, get up to some sexy time, of course, in a hot tub. Hot tub shenanigans at Bill's house. Nice. And she turns in for the night. Bill is dead for the day as she leaves for work in the morning.
When she arrives at Merlotte's, Sookie sees Andy's car is still in the parking lot, but notices that his back door is slightly ajar. She goes over to push it closed, but it won't shut. Sookie opens the door to see what's keeping it from closing and is devastated to find the body of the Merlotte's cook, Lafayette, naked in the back seat, his beautifully pedicured feet blocking the door.
Not that beautiful anymore if you've slammed the door on
Oh, but he doesn't realize because he's dead.
No.
Oh, poor Lafayette.
We hardly knew ye in the books.
I know, but in the TV show he was great.
It's fantastic.
Nelson Ellis, very good. May he rest in peace. Sookie runs to get Sam, who calls the police, and shortly thereafter, Sheriff Bud Dearborn and another officer arrive. That other officer, he doesn't agree at all with Lafayette's lifestyle choices, so we immediately dislike him, and we don't care about him. This is why his name is not even mentioned in the summary, because we don't like him. They question Sookie about what Lafayette has been up to lately, and she tells them of an orgy he said he went to just the other night. That is rare in Bon Ton.
Is it, though? Is it?
It depends on if you're reading the books or watching the TV show.
Everybody's just gang it on in Bon Ton, honestly. It's
they
something
are
in the water or the air.
Constant blood coup.
Constant blood boinking. Work is a little odd, but once the police are gone from the parking lot, things pick up. Terry Belfleur has come in to take Lafayette's place, and things go smoothly considering there was just a corpse outside. Danielle and Holly, two of the early shift waitresses at Merlotte's, are there, and the day passes without much incident. Later that night, Sookie and Bill head to Fantasia, but they get in a weird argument on the way about Bill buying property and several businesses and Sookie being able to patronise those businesses for free. Then Bill's car dies. Sookie, extremely upset at being gifted free meals and manicures and everything else, gets out of the car and starts walking while Bill finds a mechanic. How ungrateful are you, Sookie?
How dare you buy all these things for me and let me shop for free? I am
get your hair
angry
done
at
for
you.
free, get a mani-pedi, go to the boutique. Friggin' hell, Sookie, you ungrateful little wench.
Okay.
Sorry, angry. Just angry.
Yes. Okay, so Sookie storming off through the woods, and Bill going on foot to find a mechanic. It's terrible. Everything is terrible right now. And it's even worse, because Lafayette's murderer is on the loose. But look, Sookie is so mad for whatever reason. So she's gone. And almost immediately, she hears someone following her. It's a disheveled woman with a giant razorback with her. She says that she is a Maynard and that she has a message for Eric Northman. That message is a violent attack on Sookie. Bill finds Sookie on the side of the road, her back torn to shreds, and takes her to Fantasia.
I mean, she could have just written a note.
No. Shred back.
Like a sarcastic Hallmark card.
Nope. Shred it back open. Sorry.
So old-fashioned.
Yeah.
When they arrive, Eric and Pam call in a doctor. But she's no ordinary doctor. She's a dwarf, and she licks the wounds on Sookie's back to heal them. Is that unusual? Does your doctor not do that?
My doctor does not lick my back.
It must just be an A&E. Unfortunately, the wounds are not only ghastly, but they are also poisonous, and so the vampires must take turns sipping away Sookie's blood to drain her of the poison. Just imagine it. Eventually she is well, but Bill is not too happy that everybody got to taste Sookie because we all know
Sookie is mine!
But he gets to brush her hair afterwards. What? So all is good? Everyone is concerned that a Maynard has come to town because they thrive on alcoholic carnage and demand tribute. Or else. Since Eric owns a bar, well, the Maynard is obviously going to be interested, so everyone is on high alert.
After Sookie is healed and her hair is brushed, they get down to the business that brought them to Fantasia in the first place. Sorry, everyone. Okay, important business time. A vampire in Dallas has gone missing, and they need Sookie to use her telepathy to find out where he has gone. She and Bill will leave soon, but before they go, Sookie wants to warn Sam of the Maynard. She goes to Merlotte's, and after asking for the vacation days needed to take her trip to Dallas, she tells him. And he laughs. And then they kiss?
Huh?
It's a bizarre sort of day, but most days are bizarre for Sookie anymore. Sam appreciates that Sookie cares enough about him to warn him and also understands that she's in love with Bill. Well, she's not in love, but she does love Bill and respect him. So she and Sam can't behave that way. Plus, he's her boss.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't make out with your boss.
Probably not. Anywho, soon enough, Sookie and Bill are on their way to Dallas. It's her first flight, and Bill is shipped in a coffin. When they arrive, shortly before sunset, Sookie is standing around waiting for Bill's coffin to be unloaded, and a weird priest comes up to her. I would argue all priests are weird, but that's just me.
This one's even weirder, though.
Oh, he's...
Yes. No, I prefer...
Anywho, Sookie gets eerie vibes from him, more than and starts to pepper spray him. But then Bill wakes up and is there in an instant, and the priest runs away. Sookie didn't read his mind, but did get the feeling he was trying to kidnap her. Why didn't she read his mind? Ugh. Good thing the sun went down and Bill woke up. Sookie and Bill go to their hotel, it's a vampire hotel, and get checked in. The bellhop who shows them to their room is a young guy, Barry, who Sookie realises is another telepath. She doesn't get a chance to talk to him, though, because they need to get to work.
Bill and Sookie are taken to meet the Dallas vampires by a lady vampire named Isabel. The Dallas vampires live in a mansion, in a nest, meaning that there are a lot of vampires in one home and a few humans too. Sookie meets Stan, the leader of this nest, and is put to work almost immediately. She's supposed to read the mind of a girl, Bethany, who works at a vampire bar and was one of the last ones to see the missing vampire, Farrell, before he disappeared. Sookie has been training her telepathy and now has the ability to hypnotize people and can sometimes read brief snippets of vampire minds, but nobody knows about that, not even Bill. Do not, no, don't say anything about that. Sookie puts the girl into a meditative trance and finds out what she knows about the missing vampire. He was last seen with another vampire, one who looks young and has tattoos, and the bouncer at the club, a fangbanger named Rebar. While looking through Bethany's mind, Sookie also saw a human that she recognized, the creepy priest that tried to kidnap her. Obviously, the creepy priest is partially responsible for the kidnapping, and so is the unknown tattooed vampire.
Question.
What?
Do you think Rebar is on his birth certificate?
Yes, that's his Christian name.
Rebar Smith.
I was going to say Rebar Jones.
Johnson was my second option, so close enough.
Very good.
Next, they bring in Rebar for Sookie to talk to, but his mind is completely ruined, almost like he was lobotomized. Sookie talks to a few more people, including a vampire, who also doesn't recognise the tattooed vampire. But the description she provides inspires Bill to borrow a computer and do his own research. He discovers that the vampire is called Godric, and is a renouncer, someone who has given up the vampiric ways and has plans to commit suicide with the help of the Fellowship of the Sun, a cult that is like the vampire version of the KKK. He plans to take Farrell with him. The fake priest who was at the bar and the airport is probably a part of this group, but how did he know that Sookie would be at the airport? Ooh, a mystery.
Sookie gets the idea that maybe there's a bug hidden somewhere, and she discovers one underneath the table. They loudly announce that Bill and Sookie are going back to Louisiana, and that they all believe Farrell to be dead.
Yes.
Then they stage a fake water spilling and destroy the bug. They make actual plans for Sookie and Hugo, a human who helped with the bug destroying, who is in a relationship with Isabel, to pretend to be a couple and go to the Fellowship of the Sun to investigate. Also during this time, Eric shows up, pretending to be a vampire from California called Leaf. Sookie and Bill go back to the hotel. They're about to have sex, but are briefly interrupted by Eric Leaf, who needs to talk to Bill the next evening. I love Eric.
Eric's the best. The next day, as Sookie is getting ready to go to the Fellowship, she sees a news report that Bethany, the girl she interrogated, was found murdered in a dumpster. Surely the vampires wouldn't have done that, but who would? She requests some drab clothes from the front desk, dons a wig, and waits for Hugo to come pick her up. As they drive to the Fellowship, they work on a cover story and chat about their relationships with the vampires. They will pretend to be a new couple who met at a church. Hugo says he's not a good actor, so he doesn't want to have to come up with much, so they pretty much stick with his actual story. He's a lawyer that represented Stan the vampire in court, but now he's seen the error of his ways, quote, quote.
Sarah Newland, wife of the director of the Fellowship of the Sun, Steve Newland, gives Marigold, a.k.a. Sookie, and Hugo a tour of the complex and tells them about a lock-in they're going to have that night. I love Sarah Newland, and I just really want to be her voice for the entire rest of the episode.
Go for it.
No, because it's too close to my actual one that I try not to have.
Oh, dang it.
Okay. So, they're going to have a lock-in. And she also tells them about the special sunrise ceremony they're having the next day.
This is spectacular.
Oh. This must be when Godric and Farrell are going to meet the sun. As the tour goes on, they pass by someone who Sookie detects is a shapeshifter, but then they're joined by Steve and are taken to a doorway that leads downstairs into a bunker. Marigold pretends to be claustrophobic and wants to get the hell out of there as she's getting some really weird vibes from everyone. But as she tries to leave, she's pulled down the stairs and forced into a cell. They knew who she was the whole time. But how?
Hugo!
Oh!
Hugo is how. He's a traitor!
Great!
After his win in court with Stan, he became enthralled with the vampires, particularly Isabel. He began to lose clients because he just couldn't get away from his vampire girlfriend. He got angry with her one day and had been previously contacted by the Fellowship, so now he's in cahoots with them and surely they're going to come and let him out of this cell. Oh, wait, they're not, because he's still a traitor to the human race. So instead they're going to give him to Farrell, who's also locked up and who is gay and who hasn't eaten for a long time. They're definitely not going to let Suki go either as well. She's going to be chained up with the vampires as they burst into flames in the morning.
Great!
Wholesome. Before that can happen though, a douchey guard comes in and tries to assault her. She calls for help, and who should come to her rescue but Godric? I know!
Godric was strolling around free because he's at the Fellowship willingly and ready to die in the morning. At the special sunrise service!
Oh, yay!
He saves Suki from her attacker and kills him, which makes him feel even more badly about being a vampire. He tells Suki that he's meeting the sun because he's led a terrible life of killing and pillaging for 1,000 years and he's done with it. She manages to convince him that she's not a bad person even though she's friendly with vampires, so he helps her escape.
Do you feel dirty?
I'm sorry, everyone. I can't help it. These books bring it out more than anything we've ever read.
I'm loving it. And there's another 11 to go. On their way out of the Fellowship, they encounter Sarah and Steve Newland. Godric pushes Suki into an office and distracts the Newlands before they see her by telling them that maybe he's changed his mind. Suki has no idea how long she's going to be trapped, so she gathers all her mental strength and connects telepathically with Barry, the bellboy. She tells him who she is and asks him to tell her vampire where she is as soon as he wakes up for the evening. Luckily, she's able to get out of the office after some time and sneaks through the building and into the sanctuary. She hides under a pew when she sees a family come in for the lock-in, and after a few minutes she gets out and tries to leave. They spot her before she's out of the door though and make a big fuss about her injuries from being yanked down the stairs. As they're trying to get her first aid, a woman comes in pretending that she and Suki have been friends for the longest time and helps her escape. Finally!
This woman is named Luna, and she is the shapeshifter Suki detected earlier. She recognized Suki as something other than human and knew she had to help her. She and some other supernaturals, or soups as she calls them, are keeping an eye on the Fellowship because they know if they find out that other soups exist, they'll make their lives terrible, and unlike vampires, they don't want to mainstream with the humans. Suki asks why they didn't call the vampires when Godric and Farrell showed up, but Luna didn't know about Farrell and Godric came to die all on his own, so why should she stop him? Suki tells Luna she's going to tell the vampires that Farrell is there and they're going to come for him, so the soups better stay away from the Fellowship for a while.
As Suki and Luna are trying to leave without anyone noticing them, huge floodlights come on. Steve and Sarah must have realised Suki escaped. She and Luna get into Luna's car and drive away, but they're followed and eventually rear-ended by Sarah. The resulting crash is awful and Suki comes out hanging upside down by her seatbelt. Sarah is there, fake trying to help Suki, but she tells anyone who will listen that she doesn't want anything to do with this woman. Soon enough, paramedics and police arrive and Suki and Luna are taken to the hospital.
Luna is pleased with this turn of events because she knows some of the supernatural doctors who treat Suki and sneak them out of the hospital and into a car driven by werewolves. The wolves take Sookie back to the vampire hotel, and who should be waiting outside for her but Eric.
Oh.
He helps her up to her room and calls Bill, who had gone to the fellowship to rescue her. He, Stan, Isabel, and others found Farrell and Hugo and got them out. Hugo is in trouble, of course, but all in all, everything turned out okay. Bill bathes Sookie and, surprise, waits to brush her hair, and she falls asleep in his arms.
Sookie wakes before dawn the next morning and takes a cab back to the fellowship, where she finds Godric waiting to greet the sun. Sookie stays with him until the sun rises, and he bursts into flames and quietly and sadly returns to the hotel and her bed. When Bill wakes her later, it's because they have to go talk to Stan about everything that has happened over the past 2 days. Sookie does not want to, but of course she has to.
She has to go. There's a party to celebrate Farrell's return, so it's not all bad. Sookie tells Stan everything and then asks about what will become of Hugo. Part of her agreement in working with the vampires is that no humans will be killed, so she is curious about his punishment. Hugo and Isabel have been chained together and are being kept in isolation. Because Isabel brought in a traitorous human, she is chained with Silver and won't get to eat. Hugo will get to eat, but he's thralled to Isabel and won't get to have sex with her, so that is his punishment. At the end of their isolation, he will be released first, and Isabel will follow after, probably to eat him.
We can hope.
You, Isabel, do not get to eat for months and months and months. Hugo, you don't get to have sex with anyone for months and months and months. Like,
yeah.
Is that equal?
And Isabel is naked just to add that extra stimulation for Hugo.
You know, he can wank his own doodle off if he needs to.
He can, and unfortunately, I wouldn't put it past him especially because of the thrall, that if he's released before Isabel, and Isabel's tied down with Silver.
Oh, don't finish that.
I'm not gonna. Anywho, back to the party. Eric comes over and talks to Sookie, but then she realises she can hear the angry thoughts of the fellowship as they surround the house with guns.
Yikes.
She shouts for everyone to get down and all the vampires drop, but the humans aren't fast enough and they get shot from all angles around the house. Eric shields Sookie but gets shot in the shoulder. He asks her to suck the bullet out of his shoulder because that's apparently the only way to get the bullet out. Wink. And she does. While this is happening, Bill and many of the other vampires chase the members of the fellowship and eat some of them, which upsets Sookie so much that she immediately leaves and goes to the airport and back to Wantomp.
Sookie, the wound is closing. You have to do something. You have to suck it out, Sookie.
I don't want to.
You can just see him there. He's definitely like...
Yes, Sookie,
smug.
you need to suck this out.
Yes.
Yes. Oh no. Oh, my skin's going around the bullet.
Oh, no.
Quick. Oh.
Oh.
And then, hang on, she's actually doing it.
Okay. Let it happen. Don't anybody say anything right now. Just let it happen. Sookie is so upset about Bill being a vampire.
About Bill, just Bill.
Just Bill. I just don't understand why she gets so mad at him all the time.
All the time. She's just a rage table when it comes to Bill.
Okay, so she's really mad at him and she doesn't talk to him for weeks. So he starts dating Portia Belfleur, which is strange because he hates the Belfleur family for some unknown reason, and Portia always acts terrified of Bill. This may be odd, but not as odd as everyone else in Bon Tom, who suddenly seems to be really into orgies. One night, Sookie sees Bill at a high school football game with Portia. Sookie is there with her old high school friend Tara and her fiancé, Benedict, aka Eggs. Bill and Sookie are both jealous of each other, and then they secretly get back together after that with pretty violent sex.
Oh, I hated that scene so
Me
much.
too. Yikes.
So bad.
Yeah.
After this, Sookie decides to try to solve Lafayette's murder. Thank you, someone, for remembering that Lafayette's murderer still hasn't been caught.
You know, it's only been a few days.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long.
Okay. But still,
It's been long enough.
it has. She determined that Portia was only dating Bill in order to entice the orgy people into inviting her to an orgy so she could investigate and clear Andy of suspicion.
At the orgy.
At the orgy.
Just keep saying it.
And so Sookie tries the same tactic to get into the orgy. For orgy purposes. Sorry, investigation purposes. She calls Bill to see what he thinks, but he has had to go back to Dallas. He informs her that Eric will be in town while he is away and that the Maynard did not appreciate whatever tribute they offered her. After being invited to the orgy by Mike Spencer, the funeral director, red flags all over the people, red flags, Sookie asks Eric to go with her, and she asks him to pretend to be gay because that will be more fitting for the orgy. How does she know? She's never been to an orgy. She's just realised they even have these things.
Because Lafayette went, and Lafayette was gay, and so you have to invite all the gay people to the orgy.
That's a bit of a skewed logic on her part, and a lot of assumptions are being made. She's the one who got invited.
Yeah.
By a man.
Yeah. I think it's just so Eric could wear...
It's for the beautiful scenes that are about to happen. Yes. Please continue.
Eric picks Sookie up, wearing spandex pants and a pink net shirt. And he calls Sookie girlfriend a lot. And it's hilarious.
Hey, girlfriend.
Sookie puts on her Daisy Dukes from junior high, and they head to the party. Eric kisses her before they go in, but she assumes she'd have to at least kiss people at this orgy, so she doesn't mind it. Also, hello, it's Eric. Everyone wants to kiss Eric all the time. Spandex pants or not. The orgy is, quite frankly, disgusting. Tara's there with Eggs, but Sookie can tell she doesn't really want to be there. And Eggs wants to be there, and Eggs wants to make out with Eric. Sookie tries to listen in on everyone's thoughts while surrounded by flopping penises and glistening bosoms. She learns that Eggs was involved with Lafayette before his death, and Mike, the funeral director, and a man named Tom and his wife Cleo were responsible for his death. Sookie gets overwhelmed and grossed out by the orgy, so she asks Eric to take her outside. This is a huge mistake.
While they're outside pretending to make out on the hood of Eric's car, while people creepily watch from behind the curtains, Bill shows up.
Oh.
And so does Andy Belfleur. And then Sam in dog form. And the Maynard, Callisto. God, everybody's there.
Everybody's at the orgy.
There must be a
It's
male
the place
list.
to be.
Yeah. Andy is drunk and there to get Sookie to find out who killed Lafayette, which, duh, she's already doing that. Andy's not bright, is he?
No, and he's really drunk.
He's, wow. 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah.
Callisto loves the orgy and the rage that Andy is feeling and calls everyone out to the porch and riles them up. All the orgiasts are full of fear and it's channeling straight into Sookie's mind. Callisto ends up filling everyone with a wild sort of berserker madness, and almost everyone at the orgy dies, apart from Andy and Eggs, who she throws over the sidelines, and Tara, who hid under a table. Content with this tribute, Callisto disappears into the forest.
Oh, that first tribute. This is where we find out what the first tribute was.
Yeah.
It was Lafayette. That wasn't good enough. Lafayette is good enough for all of us.
Yes.
Portia comes to pick up Andy and take him home. Before they go, Eric and Bill try to clean Callisto's murder orgy by burning the place down. Andy is upset because there's no evidence that Mike and Tom and Cleo killed Lafayette, but oh, there is, and it's in the trunk of Mike's car. Bill and Eric stage the fire so the car will be undamaged, and then they all leave.
The next day, after much bathing and hairbrushing, again, Suki wakes to find a cake on her doorstep and a message on her answering machine from Grandma Bellefleur. At this point, as Suki, I would not trust anything left on my doorstep. I mean, I wouldn't normally, but, more so now. But that's just,
Yeah.
When Suki says her name, Caroline Holiday Bellefleur, Bill stops dead. Not like dead goes to sleep dead, just like statue dead.
Yes. There's a difference.
Yeah. He asks Suki to go to his house and get his family Bible. Together, they read through all the names in the family tree. Bill's wife's maiden name was Holiday. Through some marrying of his cousins, Bill's daughter's daughter, Caroline Holiday, became Caroline Holiday Bellefleur, and Andy and Portia are his great-great-great-grandchildren. Weird. I really hope he hasn't been doing stuff with Portia.
Well, he dated her. He dated his granddaughter.
He did. After this endearing look through the family Bible, we finally learn why Bill hated the Bellefleurs until this very moment. When Bill was in the Civil War, a young soldier, Jedediah Bellefleur, was responsible for his friend's death. Bill can really hold a grudge. Wow.
Yikes. And then he gets out his hairbrush.
Bill. Oh, yuck.
Gets out the hairbrush.
Can we stop that?
The end. No, because it happens.
It's gross.
It happens every single time. Every single time I mention it in the summary, it actually happens in the book. I'm not making it up.
You can't make it up. It's in the summary. We're not allowed to make things up in the summary. Because it's got to happen in the book.
True.
It's sick and it's wrong and Bill needs to stop it. Can we have some messages from other podcasts while I go and vomit, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, this is Leah Stuhler, creator and host of YA Book Chat podcast. If you love reading young adult books and chatting about them with your friends, then head on over to my podcast and take a listen. Each episode, my guest and I chat about a different YA book. We start spoiler-free and then head into our spoiler section where we dive into the mysteries of each book. And we do it with laughs and fun along the way. You can listen to YA Book Chat on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. And now, back to the show.
Oh, the hairbrushing.
It needs to stop.
That's a lot.
It needs to stop. We're only on book 2. I feel like we need to have done a tally of how many times hair is brushed.
By someone else. It's okay if you brush your own hair.
Oh, yeah. How many times does Bill brush Suki's hair?
We've missed out on an opportunity here.
Well, we're only on book 2, and you've mentioned every single incident in this particular summary.
That's true.
So it's not going to be too difficult to go back and check the first one.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
But
that might be something to do one weekend.
Yeah. You know, Suki doesn't stay with Bill, though. Does someone else get to brush her hair? We'll see.
Watch this space.
Watch this space for more hairbrushing facts.
Brought to you by Fictional Hangover Book Club. Fictional Hangover Vampire Book Club. Meeting last Tuesday of every month. Anywho, can we talk about the perfection that is Eric?
Everything. Everything Eric in this book is... There are no words. There are no words for Eric in this book. I actually laughed out loud when he showed up in spandex and a mesh tank top and called Suki girlfriend.
I can't give words. I can only give the chef's kiss
Yes.
gesture.
That's my favorite. I don't care about anything else in this book. Only Eric and his spandex and his mesh tank top.
I even enjoyed it when he was like being all California in Dallas undercover. And he was
That's
like,
Leaf.
Sookie, suck the bullet out. Yeah, go on. Oh, Eric. Do you know what? I think this was the book where, you know, you don't really get a sense of Eric apart from he's like a little standoffish. He's this almighty powerful vampire boss who sits in judgment at Fantasia. But this one, I remember reading it and just going, this is not what I was expecting Eric Northman to be.
No.
And this is delightful and delicious.
He's wonderful.
He has a sense of humour and it's wonderful.
I mean, we knew he was going to be a little weird at the end of the first book where he's floating outside of her hospital room while Sam, as a dog, also walks through the hospital. Like, that was a pretty good setup for the end of the book.
It was a nice little hint, yes. But it wasn't spandex and mesh tank top.
No, he was not wearing spandex at the hospital.
No, more's the pity. That would have gotten the heart bleeping machine going.
It would have. It really would have.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, if you go Eric or Bill, you know, this is the vampire versus vampire. It's the are you team Edward or team Jacob? You know, are you Adrian or Dimitri? It's are you Bill? Are you Bill or are you Eric?
Eric.
And if
Hands
you're
down.
Bill, I need you to explain exactly why. Because he's so freaking boring.
And he, like, borderline violates Sookie every single time they get together.
Yeah, she says no on a few occasions, but he takes that no as you need to do a little bit more to work it in, like to get her in the mood. Like when she comes out of the hospital, she's beaten up, she's sore, she's refusing to take the vampire blood to help heal her, which is fair enough. It's your decision.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's okay. If I move you this way and put you like this and I go like that, then it can happen. And it's like, can you just give it a rest?
Yeah, can you just leave her alone for 5 fucking minutes, please?
Yeah, let her heal. I hate that. I hate that. And that scene after the football match where she's starting to go into a house and he basically rushes behind her and they have very, very angry, very violent sex. And at first she's like, oh no. And then, I mean, it takes literally a split second for her to go, oh no, oh yes.
Right.
So it is consensual. But it's, as a reader, awful. And you know I do not mind sexy scenes in books.
Right, yeah.
I am an advocate of a sexy scene in a book. I have
Sure.
the books. You can't see them. They're all hidden behind other stuff. But I'm happy for that. And I've read some dodgy shit. Dodgy.
Yeah.
But I hated it. I did not like it.
It just really seems like she's not into it very often.
No. And the very telling scene is when she's talking to Sam, arranging the time off. And Sam kisses her. And she says that she loves Bill, but she's not in love with Bill.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have an emotional attachment to have sex.
No, you don't. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. We're not saying anything like that, but...
No. We're purely talking about Sookie and Bill, their relationship and their dynamic. So why is she with him? Is it just for the sex?
I really think it's just because she can't read his mind.
But you could get that from Eric. She could get that from Sam even. I mean, she can mildly read Sam's mind, but it's fuzzy and distorted, so it would probably be, you know, in the throes of passion, fine.
Yeah.
So she can go to alternate places.
I don't know. It's like your first love. You never really get over your first love, and you'll keep going back to them over and over and over again until you finally realize, holy shit, there's lots better things out there. There's lots better people. So maybe, this is like her first real relationship. She's
True.
25.
Yeah.
She doesn't know any better.
That's true. It is very true. And I agree. I think that's got a lot to do with it. I'm really struggling with Suki and Bill's relationship as a whole. If we take it back to the very beginning, and she shouts and screams at him when he buys the strip mall that has it's like a hair salon and a beautician and a boutique
and a restaurant, a really expensive restaurant.
And he says to her, just go and put it on my account. Don't worry about the money. It's there for you to use. And she just blows her top. And then she's like, oh, it was the Maynard doing it. And everybody's like...
And then Bill was like, I don't think so.
And it's that awkward moment with Eric and Pam and other Fantasia people in the office. And they're like, that's not how Maynards work. And she's like, oh, are you sure that she didn't make me really angry and completely unreasonable? But this is the thing as well. This is not the first time I've listened to the audiobooks. I have listened to them before. It was a long time ago I've listened to them. But I've also read the books. I've read the physical books. And when I read the physical book, I did not voice Suki so angrily. I didn't make her shout all the time and sound quite brattish. Whereas I think the narrator has done that, and that's not my interpretation.
Sure.
And I'm struggling with the audiobook narration of this one because it makes Suki seem more unreasonable than perhaps she is. Like, that argument with Bill at the beginning could have sounded much better as the book, and it probably did sound much better as the book than what it did as the audio, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Suki's a little irrational in the voice of the narrator.
Yes.
She's not quite so irrational.
Yeah.
When you read it.
I think because of that aggressive way she's doing Suki, it's making me not like Bill more.
Yeah.
And making me think Bill's worse than he actually is. I know what happens with the characters, obviously. We know this. We have read the series before a long time ago, so there's still a heck of a lot of new stuff. I'd forgotten about the Fellowship coming in so early. I forgot that the bellboy, Barry, the bellboy, came in so early. Totally forgot about those. I knew that happened, but I didn't realise it was so early in book 2.
Yeah.
But I think the audiobook narration is possibly impacting my perception of Suki being a whiny brat and Bill being boring as sin. But I still think they are there. I think there's still a very big percentage, but I think the narration's not helping.
Yeah, the narration is making it a little bit more stressful.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it. I liked seeing the new dynamic of the vampires in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that larger nest with an integrated, human food source.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing that. Because Barnthorpe is so enclosed.
Yeah, and Dallas is huge. So
yeah.
There's a lot of vampires. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah. I do enjoy the introduction of the Fellowship of the Sun. It's an interesting... I always loved Sarah in the TV show.
Yeah.
She was freaking bold as all hell.
Yeah.
And Steve was just like, whiny little shit.
But man, so much stuff happens with Steve later on in the series that does not happen in the books as far as I can remember. But as I said at the beginning,
I think it has diverged, yes.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
After book 2. There's a couple of things that are still there in the next couple, but whoa.
Things happen, but they're not... It doesn't spoil the books.
Right.
if you were to watch the True Blood show. I've been reluctant to rewatch True Blood because I didn't want to remember something from the show and make that supersede over remembering something from the book.
Yes.
Even though...
Yeah, I was struggling with that as well because I have watched it semi-recently. Last year. The beginning of last year or maybe the end of the year before.
I remember you saying that you had been watching it and I was like, oh.
It was before we had decided that we were going to talk about.
Oh, way before. Probably way before.
Yeah. So
I am tempted to rewatch them.
There were some things that happened in season 2 of True Blood that I really thought happened in the book, and I was very surprised. This is like my surprise for this one is that Sam is so just chill about the Maynard. He's like banging her in the woods, and then they come out to the orgy, and like he's just there in his little doggy form, with his little tail wagging, and then she just walks off into the woods at the end after the murder orgy, and then they're just like, okay, well, bye. But in the TV show,
they'll have had an arrangement. It's fine.
The
adults.
The end of season 2 of True Blood, it was a really spectacular ending. And it's been out for long enough now that I just am going to tell everyone about it. But they have to do the tribute for the Maynard. And it's Sam, which you don't realize at first, because what we know of Sam is that he can turn into an animal that he's seen before, and he typically sticks with small animals, and he really loves being a collie. But this big, giant, huge white bull, like, they lead him in, and the Maynard is so excited, like, oh, this is a great tribute, and they're gonna sacrifice this white bull. But it's Sam, and he, like, horns her in the chest, and she dies, and then it, like, the camera flips around, and it's Sam standing there naked, like, with his fist through this woman's chest, and you're like, yes, Sam! But in the book, he's just banging the Maynard in the woods, and going to the murder orgy, and walking around with his dick out afterward.
I like both of them, to be fair. I think both work for me.
Especially him walking around with his dick out at the end.
Do you know, I've never been that big of a Sam fan. Like, I've appreciated him, but he seems to be one of these where he's better a friend than he is in a relationship with her. As much as I really like that whole scene and that all of that stuff with Sam in True Blood, I really like Book Sam. I had forgotten how much I like him because you're right, he is a very good friend. And I like that. I like a good friendship. Yeah. Just because it's a boy and a girl doesn't mean they have to kiss. They can just be friends.
And they do kiss sometimes.
Kisses. Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't have to happen. Boys and girls can be friends.
Yeah, they can.
Just friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mind TV show Sam, but I did like Book Sam, and I always felt like Suki treated him a little bit harshly as well.
Yeah.
Like, but they kept setting boundaries and then blurring the boundaries. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you're going to say no, we need to stick in the friend zone whilst we're having relationships with other people, and we are going to be monogamous in those relationships, then you need to stick to those boundaries.
Yeah. But it's really hard to stick to monogamous boundaries when you're going to murder orgies.
Well, yes, okay, that's fair. You expect there's going to be something having to go on in a murder orgy.
Yeah. Suki's like, well, I'm probably going to have to kiss some people. And she's prepared. She's mentally prepared for it. And then Eric makes out with her on the hood of his car in his
Please
spandex.
Not the funeral director. Please not the funeral director.
Yeah, ugh. The orgy scene grossed me out.
Yeah.
So much glistening.
You got that skank smell, didn't you?
You did. You really, really did. And everyone is glistening in places where you shouldn't be glistening. And everyone is squeezing everyone else's ass. Whilst making out with someone else, you just reach over and like honk a boob while you're kissing someone else. And then you reach down and then you tickle someone else's testicles while you're kissing someone else. And then this hand is over here squeezing an ass.
And don't forget, your ass is also being squeezed.
By someone else.
By someone else.
Who is
and then
kissing someone else.
Who's kissing someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
too much.
We need to say it. We're not kink shaming. If you enjoy an orgy, that's fine. Can you not enjoy murder orgies? Just the orgy part. Don't murder people in orgies.
Just a regular orgy, not a murder orgy.
If that's your thing, fine. But this was just gross.
It was gross. And I mean, it was written disgustingly on purpose because Sookie was so uncomfortable being there. So, of course, she's going to think about it negatively. And also, she's trying to find a murderer. So, it's not a good place to be.
These are friends.
These are people that
people she went to school with.
Yeah, she's grown up with these people.
Funeral director.
Yeah.
And it's awkward. So, I mean, there's that awkwardness as well. And also knowing that at least one of them is a murderer.
Yeah, and then she finds out that it's kind of three of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of got a bit Murder at the Orient Express.
It did.
Murder at the Orgy Express?
Murder on the Orgy Express, yeah.
But do you know what I liked? That
tickling testicles.
No. Well, the fact that Eric volunteered, like, he's like... He took the mick a little bit about, oh, so you want me to get dressed up in spandex and a vest, do you? Do you want me? Oh, yes, okay. Mm-hmm. This is for pretend, isn't it? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it with no argument, and I can't see Bill doing that.
No. Bill was like, yeah, take Sam or Jason. Take your brother to an orgy, Sookie. Everyone already thinks you're weird anyway, so why don't you take your brother to the orgy?
I really enjoyed the fact that she had this conversation with Jason about the orgy, and Jason's like, there's an orgy and I haven't been invited? Yes. You would think out of everybody in Bon Tom, it would be me on the list. But because he's seeing someone semi-seriously and she's scary, you don't invite...
Mm-mm.
And he wouldn't be able to accept it anyway. And I just thought that was a delightful exchange between them. Like, I haven't been invited to an orgy.
There's orgies. There's orgies and I'm not there.
I should be on the list. I should be top of the list. Yes, Jason, you really should be.
But it's nice though that he's not invited and he's not a part of it.
Gosh,
because like he's being toned down a little bit.
He was intense in the first one.
He was.
Really was. And it's nice that he's taken a little bit of a back seat on this one, because he does come front and centre later on.
He does.
So it's nice that he takes a little bit of a back seat. And it's nice that he, like, you know, he comes to Sookie's aid when she calls him and says, I need you to pick me up from the airport.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
And doesn't question it. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
So he performed his brotherly duty, and that is good, and I like that.
And
so
your
done,
your brotherly duties include picking your sister up at the airport, no questions asked, not taking your sister to an orgy.
Yes, and not attending murder orgies yourself.
Right.
It's not really a sibling thing, it's just common sense.
Right.
PSA, don't attend a murder orgy.
Yeah.
I know I've bashed Bill a lot this episode, so I'm going to continue.
Okay, yes, please do.
Do you know the scene in Stan's mansion at the end when the Fellowship gun everybody down?
Mm-hmm.
What does that say about Eric and Bill? That Eric throws himself over Sookie to shield her, and Bill goes and chases after the Fellowship for some revenge snacking.
Yeah. Bill doesn't have much longer, though. I'm pretty sure their breakup is imminent.
Well, they've broken up about 6 times already.
They have. And I'm ready for it to be the final time. And I'm ready for someone else. Namely, a 6'7" striking blonde vampire. But I think...
Sorry, went to a happy place.
I know, right? But I think seeing that, and the fact that she got so upset with Bill that she didn't talk to him for 3 weeks, which is also not shocking for Sookie because she often gets mad at Bill for whatever reason. This time when she gets mad at him, she stays mad at him for a long time. And they have this understanding, like, I know that you drink people, but I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to be around. I don't want to see it happen. It happens in the hotel, too. He has to order room service, and so she goes into the other room, and she's pissy about it. But she knows that it happens, and I just can't stand that she gets so upset with him in this instance, because those people tried to kill everyone there.
Yeah.
And, you're gonna go and try to kill them back. That's what you do. But I like that we see Eric in this situation guarding and protecting Sookie, because it's like, there are other vampires out there. If you like vampires, if that's your thing, there are others out there. And they protect you from bullets and then force you to suck the bullet out so you will accidentally drink their blood. And so they can lay on top of you. I loved every single time that Eric was laying on top of Sookie and she would like wiggle or squirm and he's like, oh yeah, I like that. And she's like, get off of me. Oh yeah.
Eric injects humour, doesn't he?
He does.
He's not a character that you expect that from, which I think makes it even better. But yeah, I mean, you've covered your surprise and I'll cover mine as well.
Yes, okay.
It's the fact that Sookie forgives Bill so easily for abandoning her during the shootout. Yes, she doesn't talk to him for about 3 weeks, but that is not an uncommon trait for her to be, to hold that grudge for a while.
Yeah.
But it's just one angry, violent sexcapade later, and she's like, "Oh, we're back together, yay!" And I'm like, well, you know what? Bill says the bloodlust came over him and he went to seek vengeance. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Eric didn't. Eric stopped and protected her.
Also, Eric's a lot older than Bill, though.
Yeah,
so...
that is one of the other points I was thinking is it simply that Eric's got greater control because he is hundreds of years old?
He's very old.
He is very old. He carries it well.
He does.
And he's not a snooze fest.
No. He's got a sense of humor. Yeah. And he's not...
a sense of humor, girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Hey,
and he's
girlfriend.
not constantly carrying around a hairbrush.
That's definitely a plus in his favour.
Mm.
I like the dwarf healer as well, and she comes back in later books as well, and she's even better then. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes.
While I remembered.
Yes.
Can we safely say the giant Viking is our favourite?
Of course. There's no question in this one. It is Eric, always. What? Eric is my favourite for a long time.
Mm-hmm. At least till book 5. What did you think about Godric and Godric meeting the sun?
I mean, I get it. I understand why he would do it. I don't like that he was going to take Farrell with him. Like, even though that was not his plan, that was the plan of the Fellowship of the Sun, and like they were going to tie Sookie up so maybe another vampire would come and trade their life for Sookie, so so they'd have more vampires that they're setting on fire. But I'm okay with it. He was
a bad
there.
Man and a bad vampire.
He's been very, very bad. For 1,000 years, bad.
Yeah.
So, I get it. I don't begrudge him his choice.
No, not at all. And I can understand why Suki went at the end to witness,
Yeah.
because one of his last deeds was actually to save her,
Yeah.
which in no way crosses any of the debts off for what he's done. It
No.
can't.
No, I mean, he
can't.
literally kills a man while he's rescuing her.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
just picks him up and squeezes his neck while they're just standing there having a conversation. And so he keeps looking up at Gabe. She keeps looking over at him and she goes, I think he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He is.
Yeah. And it was nice to see some new shifters. Interesting to find out there's werewolves.
Yes. And I like that there was a name slip because, you know, when the werewolves were driving Suki back to the hotel, they blindfolded her so she wouldn't know who they were. But Luna lets a name slip. And the name that slips is Debbie, who we meet later. There's lots of good little things like that.
Yeah, I think this is where the series really starts for me. The first one just establishes the base characters, and this one really starts to get interesting.
Yeah.
Stuff is going to happen. You know stuff is going to happen now. We just need to make sure Suki and Bill aren't in a relationship.
Yes.
And then it's not smooth sailing at all. It's bloody
No,
gory
it's really
and violent and terrible
yes,
and
it
horrible.
really is.
But it's better.
Yes. I really like that at the end of this one, Bill sends Suki to his house to get his family Bible. And you think, oh, he's just so stunned. But he could be to his house and back in a matter of moments. But he sends Suki to his house to get his family Bible. And you don't think anything of it.
Shall we do Would You Rather?
We should. But everyone should keep that in mind.
There's a lot of things you need to put pins in.
Yes, a lot. It's a really good setup. Really good setup for everything that is to come.
It's actually a series where if you read it once for the first time, great. But then go back and read it. And see
so many
clues.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Anywho,
It's time.
Would You Rather? On social media, we asked you, would you rather, as a telepath, work in a hotel or in a bar? Facebook was a straight up 50-50. On Instagram, 89% said bar. On Twitter, it was 67% for bar. And on TikTok, 59% for bar. We have loads of comments.
We do.
Annie on Facebook said bar would be more interesting. Hotels host meetings and conventions, and those are never any fun until the booze starts flowing.
Colin on Facebook says bar, Baran. I'm not singing it. Sorry. Because I'm probably going to have to sing Constance's later.
Constance didn't put a reply. No reply from Constance at all.
Yes, she
That
did.
was known.
Yes, she
No.
did.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, she did not respond.
No. Bad Constance.
Okay, back to Colin and his song, Bar, Bran. Colin would like to work in a bar and be the world's best bartender. What do you want to drink? No, don't tell me. I already know. Come tell your friendly neighborhood bartender your woes. What's that? Oh, that's right. I already know them. And I have some sage advice already worked out for you. Here to start a fight? I already know you're an asshole, and I'll bash you over the head with my large, gnarled bombly knocker. What is a bomby knocker?
The Bobby Knocker. It's like a junction. Bobby Knocker.
Why did you make me read this one? It's exceptionally British.
Exactly. Coral on Facebook said, both, I'm sure, have some explicit thoughts, but when people start drinking and having a good time at a bar, who knows what can go through one's mind. Scary, but let's go to the bar and have a good margarita. She didn't put a comment on. There was no comment.
It's right there. You said it already. You can't lie about what happens in the summary.
Do you want me to do it?
No.
I know this one for a change.
Constance has reverted to her old ways, everyone.
I'll do the stuff in brackets. I'll be your backing singer.
Great. Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place.
Such a lovely place.
Such a lovely face. Plenty of room at the Hotel California. Any time of year.
Any time of year.
You can find it here. Thanks, Constance, for making us do that. And everyone gets to watch it. It's available for everyone to see. Join our Patreon.
Drew on Facebook said, Hotel! Think of all the gossip you would hear and you can have a drink as well. Emoji.
Bree on Facebook said, I'm picking Rage Table. Bar. I will use my powers to help everyone get better tips. I feel like working conditions in a hotel would be slightly ritzier, depending on the hotel, but also the messes I would have to clean up would be more risque than any spilled drinks and food.
Dakota on Facebook said, Bar, less people, so everything I heard I could narrow down better. Plus, everything you heard you could use later for leverage against people because most of the people would be locals.
Real Jackson Ford on Instagram said, Hotel, way more interesting. Oh, I had some library comments as well. Should I share them?
Cool. Yes.
Someone said, Bar, I already have experience, plus hotels are gross. Bar, so that I can block/numb my ability with alcohol when it gets to be too much.
Ooh, I might avoid that one.
And probably a bar. I feel like I would hear way more sexual stuff coming from hotel rooms, and I ain't about that life.
You just listen to this series and you get all the sex stuff.
Yeah, that's all you need. So what are you doing?
All the boinking. Hotel.
Same.
Hotel. Because when you have a defined role at a hotel, you're not cleaning staff. You know, you don't have to be, you could be the bellhop. You could be front service. You don't have to be housekeeping.
Yeah.
And I just think stuff happens in hotels and it's useful information. If I was working at a bar, I don't know how useful that information would be.
I also feel like there are more patrons at a bar. So you would constantly be bombarded with all these different thoughts all the time. But a hotel, people come into the desk, and if that's where you're positioned, you see them there, and then they go up to their room, and then you don't see them again.
Yes.
But the bar, you're right there, you're surrounded by everyone, it would just be constant.
To be fair, you could work in the hotel bar as well, or
Yeah,
just
true.
general staff. And depending on what the conventions are, could be very interesting. I watched a very interesting documentary once on furries and their convention that was happening in Las Vegas, and I can see that as being quite cool. To earwig on that, so to speak.
Yeah, and
But also,
it would be different people every time too, I feel like.
Exactly, and if it's a ritzier hotel, a higher standard of clientele will come to it. CEOs, politicians, people who are extremely wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
You could use your powers for nefarious purposes.
You could.
So at the same time, I think there's also a potential, like you said, that you can have those quiet moments.
Yeah.
And I'm not cleaning up the hotel rooms because, yeah, that is gross.
No, I'm not doing that.
All powered housekeeping staff in hotel rooms. I could not do your job.
Yeah, do not envy you. No. I wonder, though, imagine all the things that you would find. How many times have you left something behind in a hotel room? There's probably some good treasures that get left behind.
Yeah. Probably also some very disgusting treasures that get left behind.
Probably. No. Okay, next question. Would you rather be attacked by the Maynard or drained by vampires and licked by a dwarf?
Drained by vampires and licked by a dwarf. Because that Maynard attack was horrific. Suki was in so much pain, and that was just the poison, never mind having her spine and rib cage and organs exposed. And it was going to be her face. If she hadn't turned, it would have been...
She would have died.
She would have died. So, yeah, no, that Maynard, my business... And, okay, I'm being drained by vampires and licked by a dwarf. I'm probably mostly unconscious.
But being licked by a dwarf hurt really bad.
It did, but that's because she was healing, you know? And I can appreciate the fact that she's doing it to heal me.
Yeah.
And I'm probably in so much pain and verging on unconsciousness anyways, I don't care.
Do you know what I liked about this scene? It's another something that Eric did.
I was going to say it's Eric related, isn't it?
It's Eric related. I like that he told her, you know, if you were a normal person, I could make you forget all about this. And then he tells her to be brave.
And what does Bill do? Just fucking stand there.
He
like
just stands over in the corner raging because everyone gets to drink from Suki.
Yes. Not the fact that everybody is rallying around and helping Suki and not asked for payment, as is, you know, the vampiric way. No, everybody else is going to start licking the blood of my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Suki is mine.
No.
No, Bill. No.
No. No.
You stop that. What are you doing?
I'm just curious about what would happen if they didn't suck all of her blood out. Because the doctor says, you know, you gotta hurry because she's changing colors. Was she turning into something?
Yes, a hog. The razorback.
Or a Komodo dragon?
Yes.
Because that was like...
That would be so cool. They've got septic bites. They theorise that Tyrannosaurus Rex has had septic bites too.
Really? Well, maybe she would have turned into a T-Rex.
A little T-Rex with a blonde ponytail.
Yes. Yeah. And a hairbrush.
Am I going to have to do the episode picture this week with the hairbrush?
You probably should. You probably will need to do that.
I think I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pick being drained by the vampires too. I mean, I feel like that is slightly less painful. And now you have all these vampires who can keep track of you. Because that's a thing that happens.
GPS is very reliable, I hear.
Yeah.
What's more reliable, Vampire GPS or Google Maps?
Hard to say.
Next question. Would you rather be held captive in the Fellowship of the Sun or go to the Maynard murder orgy?
I will be held captive in the Fellowship of the Sun all day long.
I am not going to the murder orgy.
I do not want to go to that orgy. It was so oily.
Icky.
Glistening.
I can just smell it.
I don't want to be there. I really thought that you were going to pick going to the orgy because why would you want to be held prisoner? But
No, I don't like that orgy.
No,
it's a bad orgy.
Bad orgy. Bad. You're bad.
Put that down. Hey, put that to one side. One at a time. Don't be greedy. No.
It's time for secret questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I love them, but I worry about them.
I know. I worry about them too.
Do you want to reveal them?
Yes. Would you rather be the mesh of Eric's tank top or the swirl on his spandex?
Oh my god, this is so close to mine.
It's
not exact. It's different enough. It's fine.
I was trying to come up with something really good that would match, but I wanted to ask if you would rather be a chest hair coming out of the mesh of Eric's tank top, but I couldn't come up with anything good to match that.
Okay, no, yours is actually probably a little worse. Be the mesh of Eric's tank top or the swirl on his spandex? I mean, it sounds delightful being a swirl, doesn't it?
It does.
But
Swirl on his spandex.
I think I'm going to be the mesh of Eric's tank top, and then I can really cling on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you know, spandex. That is tight. You're
It
tight
is.
on his
And
buns.
you know Eric's is extra tight.
Yeah.
It'll almost squeak as he
Yeah.
walks.
Yeah. And, you know, we get a nice shot of his
Assets.
assets. I was going to say his erect manlyhood.
His penis. His giant
His penis.
engorged penis.
His engorged penis, yes. In the spandex. So, I mean, I think really just for the buns, I'm going to be the spandex. I'm going to be the swirl on his spandex.
I'll be the mesh. It's tender. My super secret question. Would you rather borrow Pam's panties or Eric's shirt? I love that we went with the claws on both of them.
I have to tell you my other one that I thought of too after we get
Yes.
finished with this one. So,
Yes.
I have issues already with used underwear. So, I'm going to go with Eric's shirt. I change underwear multiple times a day just because, like, if I take it off, I ain't putting it back on. I don't know. So, I don't want to use someone else's panties. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
Pam took them off of her body and put them on to Suki's body. I'm sure they were clean. But still, I'm gonna be the shirt. I mean, I'm gonna borrow the shirt. I'm not gonna be the shirt. That was my question. I'm gonna borrow the shirt. And it's probably big enough that like you could tie it in a fancy way and like really glam it up. So I'm gonna borrow the
she
shirt.
does use it as a dress.
Yeah.
And he is a big man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
in
wear
all
a shirt.
ways. You know this is his spandex. You
I
know
do.
He's a big
I
man
do
in all
know. I
ways.
am well aware. What
Yeah.
are you borrowing?
I can only imagine Pam's panties being like the thinnest, stringest of thongs and being really tight. Like, that's how you get yeast infections.
Especially if they belong to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Suki is petite. You know, she's skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Pam is skinny. They're probably of a very similar size. So I think in that regards it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's something a little bit peculiar about borrowing somebody's gonna really if you're gonna get a back wedgie and a front wedgie from Pam's panties.
From Sam's panties.
Oh, you know he wears panties.
He does.
Pam's panties are you're gonna full cheese wire all the way up there. There's gonna be a yeast infection eventually if you're wearing them for too long. You're gonna do that really weird waddle unpick as you're like, oh, get out.
Yes.
But Eric's shirt, he's gonna come pick it up eventually.
Right. He's not gonna
He's
give
gonna
you
want
his
his
shirt.
back.
Yeah.
And you'll have to, get it off you.
Yeah. There's no reason not to be Eric's. I said it again. There's no reason not to borrow Eric's shirt whilst
Yes.
being his spandex.
Yes. What was your alternate, would you rather?
Something along the lines with probably way more adjectives because we all know how I feel about adjectives. Something about staring at glistening bosoms or Sam's floppy penis as he runs around outside the murder orgy.
Oh, gross. You can hear the slapping sound. I can only imagine if it was the glistening bosoms. I'm considering now. I'll be like, not harshly judging and harshly criticizing, but certainly evaluating
Mm-hmm.
and then comparing to myself.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be like, oh, her boobs are so perky and bouncy and she doesn't need a bra. And mine are just, you know, gravity-ridden lumps.
Mm-hmm.
And then the jealousy will kick in.
Yeah. So you'd rather stare at Sam's floppy penis?
I'm not answering it either way.
Oh, okay.
I'm just considering.
Okay.
Are you staring at Sam's penis? Is that what
I
you're telling
will.
me?
Do you know the only reason why? Because it's outside. And staring at the glistening bosoms, it takes place inside the
You raise an
stinky
excellent
murder
point.
orgy.
Now, is this Sam in human form or in Dean form? Because
Yes, we're not looking at a dog lipstick. We are
Thank
looking
you.
at Sam's floppy penis.
Thank you. I did tell you about that time I went to a Viking recreation village that was absolutely rubbish, but the horses were all extremely well endowed, and it got really creepy.
No, you did not.
Oh,
You
did I
tell me
not?
about that.
I could have sworn I told you, or I might have texted you and said the awkward bit was when my son turned and went, "Mum, what's that on the end of the horse?" And then I looked over and it was the horse's penis getting bigger. And my God, those things are huge.
They are.
It was so freaking intimidating.
Yeah.
And then when the blacksmith showed me the size of their the horseshoe, and it was huge, she went, "Yeah, this is too small for them." And I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been haunted by horse penises though, because even at work, every time I was doing my project work, looking for specific diagrams, horses kept coming
Why
up.
are you looking at horse penis diagrams at work?
I was.
Are you going to get fired?
No, I was doing urinary tract infections, and I wanted a diagram of the tract, and it came up with a horse penis. My Google
Why are you
searches are
using-
messed up.
I just don't understand how you can search for a urinary tract of a human and get a horse penis.
I didn't specify species, which is my problem. There was literally all human and then one freaking huge horse penis in the middle. And thankfully it was like a drawn diagram. It was very anatomical. But it wasn't detailed. It was just like a few lines. Why? Why? It even came up when I did respiratory. Why am I getting horse penises
She's hiding horse
on respiratory?
She's hiding horse penises in all of your searches. I'm just going to...
Pretty much.
No, I almost said I'm going to randomly start sending you horse penises, but no, because then I would
Please
have to
don't.
retrieve the horse penises. And I
Yeah.
don't...
It's a dark and scary place, and I've got pictures from that Viking village on my phone still, and I'm not afraid to use them.
No, let's not. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
And that entire conversation was just for Patreon.
You know, everyone who joins our Patreon, though, gets to have that. Get to join us. Our horse penis.
And if you upgrade and get the bonus tier, you might get to see the picture if I remember to post it next week.
No. Okay.
Let's move on.
Favorite final thought quote?
I got 3.
Okay, I only have 2 this time.
I could have had loads though, because I was pretty much going to be copying and pasting every scene with Eric.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Quote number 1. Suki, my little bullet sucker. Eric, my big bullshitter.
Oh.
So, you want me to go to a human orgy where I will not be welcome, and you want us to leave before I get to enjoy myself? Yes, Eric, sorry.
Sorry, Eric.
And my last quote is, I don't lose my temper a lot, but when I do, I make a good job of it.
That's a lie. Suki, you lose your temper all the time.
It's not even every other line. It's more frequent than that.
It is. I just remembered another thing that I like about Eric. That is... It could be a favorite final thought quote. But I like... He answered the phone when Suki called him, I am here. That's not how you answer a phone.
I dare you to answer the phone tomorrow at work with that.
I'm here.
I do like the Fantasia voice message as well, when it's like, press 1 for this,
yes.
press 2 for that. And if you're calling for threats or prank calls, please know we will find you.
We will find you. I almost included that one as well. I only have 2, and they're a little bit longer than yours. So, one is, I read a lot. School was tough for me with my little problem, but reading by myself gave me a means of escape from my situation. I guess I'm self-educated. So I thought that one was very meaningful because Sookie reads a lot. And I really appreciate that Sookie reads a lot.
Yes.
And now my other one. Angelic Sookie, vision of love and beauty, I am prostrate that the wicked evil Maynard violated your smooth and voluptuous body in an attempt to deliver a message to me.
Oh, Eric.
Sorry that the Maynard picked on you. That's not good enough. And he just had this one ready to go. So good. Eric is so good.
Oh, dear me.
All right. If you liked this, try this. What are you suggesting?
The Strain by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan.
I have read The Strain.
Have you? I have not read it. I
have read
have
it.
watched it. And that's one of the reasons why I am recommending it, because it's an adaptation.
Nice.
With vampires. Very different vampires.
Oh, yes. Very different.
And the summary from Amazon.co.uk this time. A plane lands at JFK and mysteriously goes dark, stopping in the middle of the runway for no apparent reason. All lights off, all doors sealed. The pilots cannot be raised. When the hatch above the wing finally clicks open, it soon becomes clear that everyone on board is dead, although there is no sign of any trauma or struggle. Ephraim Goodweather and his team from the Centre of Disease Control must work quickly to establish the cause of this strange occurrence before panic spreads. The first thing they discover is that 4 of the victims are actually still alive. But that's the only good news. And when all 200 corpses disappear from various morgues around the city on the same night, things very rapidly get worse. Soon F and a small band of helpers will find themselves battling to protect not only their own loved ones, but the whole city against an ancient threat to humanity. I really enjoyed the TV series because it was interesting. It was a different take on things. I haven't read the book. Is the book any good?
The books are good. Yeah.
Cool.
The books are good. I didn't watch... I think I just watched season 1. I didn't watch anymore. I don't remember why. Like, there wasn't a reason why.
I think... I know over here, it kept changing channels and time slots and got a little bit difficult to keep track of. And I think we lost some of one of the seasons and we had to catch up on it. It took a little while, but we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, somewhat of a tenuous link.
It's vampires.
It's vampires and it's vampire TV show linked.
Yes,
So
that's fine. My tenuous link is only that this takes place in Texas. But I went specifically searching for stuff that takes place in Texas because,
I was going to go down that route as well, but then I remembered this.
All right, so the one that I found
Excellent.
on penguinrandomhouse.com, they have something called the United States of Books. And so you can see books set in each of the 50 states of the United States. So it's interesting. This one is called Black-Eyed Susans by Julia Haberlin. 20 years ago, a Texas serial killer was put behind bars when his only surviving victim, Tessa, testified against him. Now it appears she may have put away the wrong man when a patch of black-eyed Susans, the same kind of flowers as those covering the field where he disposed of his victims, shows up outside her window in the dead of winter. To find out who the real killer is, she must go deep into her memories before it's too late.
Ooh.
I thought it sounded like a fun murder mystery.
It does. Better than the one I'm reading right now. Ooh. Do we have an indie spotlight?
Yes. Yes, we do. Not a real tenuous link with this one. There's no link with this one at all. I just thought it kind of sounded fun. This one is called Quetzal's Last Song by Desiree Calderon de Fawaz. When President Orange gets reelected for a third term in 2025, the nation plunges into a second civil war. Doomed for the Brazos camp, Brum Hesslis, her two siblings, and mother flee their home in the Houston archipelago overnight, leaving her father behind. Assisted by the Unity Forces, a resistance group fighting the new Great Republic's regime, Brum reaches the safety of her mother's ancestral home in the Oaxacan town of El Nidal. There, in the relative safety of her mysterious great-aunt's house, she discovers a library brimming with strange manuscripts, artifacts, and the musical key to a world she thinks is safer than her own.
Ooh.
I lied. I did pick this one because it starts out in Houston. Another Texas link. Also, I just really wanted to say Oaxacan.
Achieved. Well done.
Done. Thanks. All right. So that's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time as we discuss As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club and monthly challenges on Facebook. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover-themed merchandise, and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com, follow us on Instagram at fictionalhangover, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover, and on Twitter at fictionalhangover, no ER. If you'd like this episode, check out our others and rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for our music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.